Well, Jim Chalmers has delivered the nation's largest budget surplus in 15 years amid signs of another windfall this financial year. The Treasurer says $22.1 billion in surplus, and he has claimed credit for it. Joining me live now is Rich Inside economist Chris Richardson. Great to see you, Chris. The forecasts for what we've actually seen here, the difference is enormous.
The difference is stunning. It's a $100 billion turnaround in what had been originally expected as the outcome for last financial year, and in fact over $200 billion difference in net federal debt. These numbers, I know I'm a nerd, these numbers are truly remarkable.
We love that you're a nerd. So how did this happen?
Well, it didn't happen because of anything that any politician did. In fact, if you look at the last handful of months of the last government, or indeed this government to date, both of them have been worsening the budget balance with their decisions. The current government, since elected, for example, has added $61 billion to spending. It has also raised taxes $27 billion, but the net, it has worsened the budget outcome over the next handful of years by $34 billion. Why? Because it can, the remarkable dollars of the moment off the back of war and inflation driving a stunning tax take.
So, war and inflation, okay. The mining industry, we can add into all of that as well. Jobs growth, absolutely. But what this kind of demonstrates as well is that while inflation is really bad for all of us, it's actually pretty good for budget surpluses, isn't it?
Yeah, that is exactly right. We've long known that inflation effectively steals from the pockets of families. It hands to business and it hands money to government. Basically, taxes rise faster under inflation than spending does. So this is, the two things, the war and inflation. The inflation component is a reallocation. It's taking money from families, giving it to government. The war bit is what helped push up the price of, Australian coal, now well off its peaks, but still much higher than it was. Our gas, that combination meant that the world paid us, in relative terms, more than anything Australia had seen in the last century and a half.
We love you because you just cut through the spin. So let's just repeat this. None of the stunning numbers that we see today were due to any decisions by government. It was despite politicians, not because of them?
Absolutely despite politicians. If you'd stopped governments making decisions before the election or even at the election, then the budget would currently be looking better. Again, I understand that. Current conditions are temporary, but they're amazing. They are throwing money at the budget in a way we have never seen before. Peter Costello, in many ways, was a lucky treasurer. Lucky Chalmers is presiding over a stunning period. To be clear, it's not permanent. At some stage, the world will pay us less. Inflation is already starting to cool. The marvellous news for the budget will calm down. But it is currently amazing.
Yeah, it certainly is. You mentioned Peter Costello. He made a career of under-promising and over-delivering when it came to Treasury forecasts. So what's happened here with Treasury? Is there, was it never as bad as Treasury predicted?
Never as bad. Treasury is partly trying to be conservative, to give whoever is in government some wriggle room just in case. But the conservatism, if you like, went over the top in recent times. Again, it's not that the what's been happening in the economy has been remarkably different to what Treasury expected. It's simply very much undercooked how much of an impact that would have on the tax take. That impact truly striking. The result is that as we stand today, net federal debt is comfortably smaller as a share of the economy than it was ahead of COVID.
Right, so Jim Chalmers today has been saying, look, he's banking most of this windfall, getting the budget back into surplus. That makes for great headlines, but in a cost of living crisis, surely they should be spending some of this money as well. Given those headwinds you talk about as well, what's the most efficient way to spend this money at this time, Chris, if you were Treasurer?
By just trousering it, Laura, by not spending it. And that is incredibly hard for politicians to do. The last lot failed as this improvement in the budget was starting to become evident. The current lot have failed. To be clear, people are genuinely in pain with cost of living. But when governments try to help by handing people money, and the government, to be fair to them, they've done some creative things, but the bulk of what they have done probably worsened the inflation problem. Again, to be clear, inflation is already coming down relatively fast. But for now, hold on to this money. It's temporary. Let's enjoy it and let's bank it.
Well, there he is, self-confessed nerd, Chris Richardson, and we love it. Thanks so much for your time, as always.
Thanks, Laura.